Good evening, everybody. This is Same Feet. I am a robot. It's a little warm tonight, so I have to get my trusty fan out. But I'm just making this video to talk about the Mandela effect, which I just ran across. I may have heard about it before, the name, but I never looked into it until I saw the Beerstained Bears stuff. And I don't really care about that one because there's a better one than the Beerstained Bears. One that more people will be more positive is now wrong in this new reality. The Beerstained Bears leaves a little bit of room for doubt in your brain. Even if you know it was Berenstein, you can kind of look at the AIN and trick your brain into thinking, well, maybe it was the Berenstain Bears. I personally remember it as the Bernstein, 2 syllables, B-E-R-N, Bernstein Bears, and I don't remember the Baron at all. Well, that's irrelevant for this video because I want to talk about a different genre and movie and book than the Berensteins. And that is Interview with Vampire by Anne Rice. What is it? Is it Interview with a Vampire or Interview with the Vampire? What does your memory tell you about that book and movie series? Interview with a Vampire kind of flows off your lips if you say it. Interview with a Vampire. And that's how I've always said it, and it's one of my favorite movies. I love blood and gore, and I love the plot of that book and movie, and it's probably in my top 10 favorite movies, Interview with a Vampire. But those of you who said it's Interview with a Vampire are wrong in this reality, in the new reality, because the movie's changed into Interview with the Vampire. And the book of Vampire Lestat is now The Vampire Lestat. And there's a couple other differences. I think it says The Vampire Chronicles on either the book or the movie somewhere, and that was never in it either. So those of you who remember the book and movie Interview with a Vampire must now rationally start to believe that the Mandela effect is not mass misremembering, as they like to say, mass numbers of people misremembering something, because if you think about Interview with Vampire, you know it's an A. In fact, it's a capital A that Anne Rice used. Interview with capital A, Vampire, and you can probably picture it in your head. And you can, if you say it, it flows off your lips. Interview with a Vampire. Interview with the Vampire, it doesn't flow, it doesn't sound right, and we know for a fact, a lot of us know in our hearts that it was Interview with a Vampire and not Interview with the Vampire or the Vampire Lestat, I can't remember how to pronounce his name, but it's now the Vampire Lestat. And so you know that there's a glitch in our reality that occurred. And if you don't believe the things I'm saying, of course, just go to Google and put in interview with. And you'll see with the suggestions that people don't type the after that. They type a vampire because you'll see it in the Google results. When they show you, what do you want, what link are you thinking about? Interview with shows that people type in Interview with a Vampire. And if enough people knew it was those Google results would show, after you type Interview with, the Google results would show if people remembered it as because that's what they'd be searching for. People don't remember it as that movie. They remember it as Interview with a. And you can tell that directly by going to Google and searching for Interview with. Just stop there. See what it shows you. Now, just write Interview with a Vampire and hit return on Google, and what you will encounter is not Interview with a Vampire. You'll encounter that it is now Interview with the Vampire. And that shows you that and if you go and dig up your old books that you've read in your houses and homes and wherever you might be, the library, you will see that your books have also changed. And if you go into a garbage dump somewhere and dig down 40 feet and find old Interview with a Vampire books, there's no way anyone could have got down to switch those books out in the garbage dump, but you would see that they all change across the world, everywhere, universe, I should say, to the. It's changed. Our reality has changed. The movie we once knew as Interview with a Vampire is changed. And some of you might be able to trick yourself into thinking, it was the, I was just misremembering it. That's fine. You know, whatever you need to do to cope with this idea and with these facts, you got to do. Go ahead and pretend that it was the vampire. But those of us with open minds and a little bit more rational thinking and an ability to, you know, cope with new ideas will know that the new reality that we're living in is false, and that it's Interview with a Vampire. And because it flows off our lips, it flows, Interview with a Vampire. I've said it hundreds of times, telling people to watch that movie and talking about that movie and the book. And so there we go. Proof that the Mandela effect isn't mass misremembering. It's glitches in our reality. And now I don't remember Mandela dying in the 80s, but he very well could have. And I was young in the 80s, so I wouldn't have paid too much attention to it. But there are other things like the word allot, A-L-O-T. And, you know, whenever I spell it, it comes up as the wrong word, as not a word. And so I always put the space in there, a lot. Well, I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm going to write a lot like I learned as a child. And there's another word, definitely, D-E-F-I-N-A-T-E-L-Y. And today, in the new reality, they want me to spell it D-E-F-I-N-I-T-E-L-Y, definitely, instead of definitely. And I know that my version is right. And there's one more, the word no one, which is one word, N-O-O-N-E, no one. I know that's a word. I grew up and I've used that word, and today it's not a word anymore. No one is no longer a word. You have to put a space in between the no and the one. And so that's my third example that I know that this Mandela effect is there's something more to it than mass misremembering. So that's my video. I wanted to get one out there on Interview with a Vampire because I think more people will definitely be able to say that's wrong. Interview with the Vampire is wrong. And even if there are people that believe that the Beerstained bears are the Berensteins and not the Stains, I think you'll more definitely know for a fact in your heart that Interview with a Vampire is correct and Interview with the Vampire is wrong. So I just want to get this video out there because I think that's a better example almost than the Berenstein Bears. People know. People that know and love that book and movie series know. They know and they'll remember it. Thanks for watching.